Hey everybody, welcome to Slamfire Radio for June 4th, 2020. I'm one of your hosts, Kelly Lynn.
I'm Adriel.
I'm Trevor.
And I'm Random Dave.
And this
I'm
is
Gallon. I'm back again.
I made the mistake of thinking I had to cue Gallon. I know better. I don't know Gallon. I'm sorry. I should know you're practically a professional at this now.
He is. He's got a mute button and
Look at
everything.
that setup.
It's the trick.
Yeah.
You get the mute button. Street cred.
Yeah,
it's a quiet mute button too. Impressive.
it is.
Yeah, you don't hear the click in the line.
Yeah. Well,
Only the finest here.
we've got a lot of people on tonight, so what we're going to do is we're going to get quickly into what we did in guns.
What episode
Yes.
are we on?
Oh, yeah. You know what? No freaking idea. What are we on?
357
Episode
Magnum.
357 Magnum. Yeah.
Oh, we're on 357 Magnum. Hello.
Last week was 9mm. This week is 357 Magnum.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I put a blurb in there and everything. The lead host should read it.
Well, I didn't have my show notes up, and so there.
Why would you? You're only the lead host.
I wasn't up until 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, you were. And you tried to give it
Word
away. You
Previously,
screwed it up.
and then-
Okay,
and
you know
I effed
what?
it up, so
Yeah.
357
Line this thing.
Magnum. Hey, it's a cartridge or
357
something.
Magnum.
Shoot it. Pew, pew.
Yeah.
You got one of those, Trevor.
So you guys
I
all
got one of
got.
those too.
Yeah.
Let's see your 357 Magnums.
It's kind of a personal thing to say, isn't it?
Well,
I
yeah,
like
but
357 because you can shoot 38.
yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Speaking of
That's the
which, I
only
got a
light
bunch of brass for sale because I'm selling this thing. This
Oh,
is
are
this is an original 686 from back in the 80s when they first came out. When you open it up, you look at the model number inside. It usually says 686 dash something. No dash on this one. It's old school badassery original.
I had one of those with a long barrel.
Yeah. This is the minimum Canadian length.
Hmm.
Dave, you've
The
got some sort of
357 Magnum was invented by Elmer Keith, by the way, the same guy who invented the 44 Magnum.
And was generally an awesome
It's in
guy.
the show
If you
notes,
don't know
but
about
whatever.
him, if you don't know about Elmer
Do you
Keith,
want to be the
should go
show
read about him.
host? Lead host? Just ask him.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I gotta go and make soup.
Okay.
Bye.
Enjoy.
So that's my 357 Magnum.
It's a
And I discovered- Yeah. Thank you, Trevor.
It's a
I'm
military style
I'm-
assault rifle.
I'm so glad you're here. Why don't you join the RCMP and declare this to be an AR-15 variant? Because it's got a magazine and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, so this
It
is a
does.
buddy of mine died a couple years ago, and I bought this off him just before he passed away. And it's a little Marlin, and it's 357. And I discovered, I can't remember how many rounds fit in the magazine, but if you push really, really hard, you can actually stick another one in there, and then the entire gun is screwed until you disassemble it.
Yes, I
required
think that
rules.
happened at some kind of competition or something, didn't it?
It did. It was I decided I was going to shoot one of my vintage CQB matches, and
Nice.
I decided to shoot this, and I should have just stuck with not this.
I love those.
I'm
I
a
wanted
mag
one.
guy.
I've never been able to figure it out to get one. Either when one comes up, I don't have the money, or it's always bad timing. But I've always wanted one. Not necessarily the Marlin, but
I rather like the Marlin. I've had a few of them. I had a 44 back in the day, and the 44 was a blast. Man, that thing just destroyed paint cans and deer.
The more I'm into this, the more of appreciation I've developed for the Marlin lever action rifles. Actually, I've worked on both Winchesters and Marlins at the shop, and the Marlin is superior. I think it's 36 Marlin 36,
Mhm.
and
336.
336. There you go.
Yep.
And those will take and cycle 38 specials as well, won't they, Dave?
It will, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, this guy's an 1894 CS, and there's a reason they've been making them for that long, because they work really well. And I was actually very surprised with the lever gun when I took it apart, because you kind of look at the way they work and stuff, and they look like they're super complicated. And you take them apart, and they're really not that complicated. It's pretty simple.
Unlike the
Yeah.
94. Anybody
Yeah.
else have a 357 gun they want to show before I cover this little blurb here about 357 Magnum?
I don't know. I prefer modern firearms, so I don't really
All
have
right,
anything
then just be
to
quiet.
say.
Sit there. So the 357 Smith & Wesson Magnum, or the 9x33 MMR, or simply 357 Magnum, obviously a smokeless powder cartridge, the 357, inch or 9.07 millimeter bullet diameter was created, as I said, by Elmer Keith and somebody by the name of Philip B. Sharp and Douglas B. Wesson. What Wesson could that be?
B sharp, really.
Yeah, B Sharp, yeah. B Sharp and B Wesson of the firearms manufacturer Smith & Wesson and Winchester. It's based on the Smith & Wesson's earlier 38 Special cartridge. The 357 Magnum cartridge was introduced in 34. And it has been used since, it has since become widespread. Geez, yeah. The cartridge started the Magnum era of handgun ammunition. At the time, it was the most powerful handgun in the world and could blow your head clean off. Not really, but it.
You feel lucky, punk.
Yeah, it was when it was out. It was the most powerful handgun cartridge available, and General Patton carried a single shot or single action 357 Magnum in a holster during the war. Good for him. So.
Yeah, and several divisions of infantry and armor.
Yes, he also carried those as well. Those were slightly more effective. What we did this week in guns is brought to you by the Calgary Shooting Center, Canada's premier firearms retailer. And this week they have Winchester Wildcat 22s on for 379 Canadian pesos. They're an interesting little rifle, synthetic stock, kind of skeletonized. It's not a pistol grip, but it's got a lot of angle there on that grip, kind of very similar to the angle of a Pitcher and Magpul X22 stock. Kind of has that kind of ergonomics to the grip. It's got an integrated rail on the receiver and a version of like tech sights or peep sights. Anyway, it's a neat 22 from Winchester and super cheap. 309.
Super light too. Like these are really lightweight.
We got two different prices here. You got 379 in the notes and 309 on CGN. So I'm going to go with the 309 because it's more better.
309. That's a really good price.
Yeah.
But I mean,
have you messed with one of these things, Adrian?
What's that?
Have you reviewed one of these things or messed with one of them?
No, but I think I should because at 309, that's like really affordable.
Why not?
Yeah,
It really is.
4
It looks
pounds,
like
0 ounces. Check that weight out. That's excellent.
Nothing.
Yep.
That's cool. Magazine. What's the magazine story on this thing?
I thought it's like a 10-round rotary.
10-round rotary detachable.
Yep. Just like a
Cool.
1022, like very much like a 1022, but
a la Winchester.
But a la Winchester, lightweight, better bolt.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
You're
but
wrong.
I believe they take 1022 magazines, but if you use the Winchester branded magazines, the bolt stop works. Gonna last round hold open. Yeah,
That's cool.
but I believe they will function with the standard Ruger magazine.
Cool.
Might be wrong.
That's cool.
Gallon. Typically, I'm at the top of the list for what we do this week in guns because I take a long time. But you're the guest host this week, so why don't you go first and tell us what you've been up to recently? I know something pretty exciting that you did. 3 of you on what night was it, Gallon? They sent me that picture. Monday, Tuesday? Tuesday night.
I think it was Tuesday night.
3 of you were successful. So go ahead. Tell us, what have you been up to?
Tuesday night, shot my bear, spring bear season here in New Brunswick, and I've been working at that for a couple of weeks now. I started with one bait, and I left it out about 5 days, and there's absolutely nothing on it. The food just sat there with squirrels picking at it. So then I moved to another spot. I was kind of scouting around at dark, and I kept moving further and further and further down the road, just looking for that right spot where I can get in a tree stand. I can see pretty good. Yeah, I found a spot. I had bears on it in like 2 days, like 2 big smashers, but they were wet sows. They had cubs. So I started sitting out on Friday, I believe, and I passed up on a little bear 2 or 3 times. He came out, but he was like literally like 100-pound bears, like the size of a big dog. And I kept waiting, and then Monday I didn't see anything. I was out Monday morning. I was out Monday night. There's nothing at all moving in the woods. I think the wind just wasn't playing in my favor. And then Tuesday I went out and I sat down at about 6 o'clock, and by about 6:45 the bear came in and I made the shot. First time it ever happened. Gun recoiled and got me right in the nose. Yeah, I was seeing some stars,
Go
but it's
bite.
the way my crappy stand was set up because I had moved it. I built it for one location, moved it to the other. So where I was sitting, the tree is literally right in front of me. So when I took a seated position, my knees were up under my nose. And to get that correct eye relief on the scope, the stock was literally over my shoulder. I thought I was hanging on tight enough, and that vicious 308 came back and just beat the crap out of me. Like I had blood all over my face. This has never
Savage.
happened in my life. I'm lucky I wasn't shooting a real caliber. I would have been knocked out of the tree and the bear would have ate me.
Was this your
Did you
hog
hit the
hunter?
bear, though?
Yeah, this was the Savage Hog Hunter you guys
Thank
worked on
God
at
it
your
weighs
shop,
15 pounds.
right? I could have been knocked out.
Yep.
So then I
Could've
come back,
woke
my
up to
face is
some
all
bear
bloody.
love.
Because we were doing union negotiations at work, so I'm on the team for that. So I get back and they're like, "Where are you?" I was like, "Bear hunting," and my face is all messed up, and like my eyes starting to get dark, and
Guys,
right, they're
like
just
you're doing it wrong.
yeah,
That is
it's
a
not
good
how it's
way to
supposed
open
go.
negotiations, Galen. I like that.
But it was a nice bear. I'll text Adriel the photo if he wants to put it up on his screen because I don't know how to do that. And besides that, I've been doing a bit of shooting. I just joined the range in Bucktouche. My range is still closed. We live in the middle of nowhere, but the range executive is really fuddish. So as soon as the Rona started, they shut her down.
Your
Right?
range is
No order
fuddish.
from the government, nothing. They just
Yeah.
shut her down. So then we
That's
asked about
fuddish.
them reopening because the rest of the province is reopening now. And they said, no, we're waiting for direction from the government to reopen the range.
They're not going to give you
Gov-
direction because they didn't tell you to close.
Right. They never told you to close the range. They're not going to give you direction to open it. So I went and joined Bucktouche. They have a 500-meter range there. I've been enjoying it immensely.
I can outdo your fuddiness. The Miramichi Club sent an email to its members saying that shotguns were prohibited.
Why?
Well, they were. weren't
Good
they?
question. Why?
I think they're
Oh, they're helping their members.
prohibited
by-
to use on my range as well.
No. They're saying that all the shotguns are prohibited.
Yeah. We're going with that 20
Mhm.
millimeter foolishness. Anything else, Galen?
Speaking of prohibited, guess what I got?
What?
I got a letter saying that I might have some prohibited guns in the mail.
Yeah.
So I would encourage everybody to write a personalized message on it, and you can send this to any member of parliament, especially Bill Blair, for free. Just Google the address. It's free. Put it in an envelope. Send it to him.
Yep.
I'm not going to encourage anything childish or
So
insulting.
it's not free. Anything that's free, someone else is paying for. So it's not free. Your tax dollars, my tax dollars, are going to pay to send this back. So not only did the government waste over $2 million to mail us these letters, now you're encouraging gun owners to waste more tax dollars to send them back at a net effect of nothing. Do I understand that correctly?
Correct.
Okay, good. Just wanted to be sure.
100%.
Okay, let's waste more
But
money.
we get to let out a little steam and be childish and waste a little bit of money, right? I didn't get the
Why don't you
Rona
just send 'em a dick
lottery.
pic?
I've been
That's
going
free
to
too.
work,
Just-
so I'm
just-
entitled to. I
Send them a
charge
dick
those.
pic, your little stack of buttons on a bear rug, right? Just
$10.
in an email. Yeah,
That costs real money.
yeah.
$10. It's $1 an inch.
Anything else?
Is that U.S. or Canadian?
No,
No.
that's all I got going on.
All right, cool. I had a pretty good week gun wise. I got out with other Trevor to help him recover his bear. He popped it with a 30-06 and double lunged it, dropped right where it stood. Medium-ish boar, probably a couple of years old. I'm looking forward to eating it. This should be fun and tasty. And my latest prohibited, wait, no, they're not prohibited because you can still buy them. My latest firearm arrived from the Calgary Shooting Center. If you don't shop there, you are a communist. So this is the 590 Retrograde. It's very similar to the style of shotgun that I made when I restored a 870 Wingmaster to make it look like a police clone. I did that last winter, the winter before. So it's kind of the same idea as that 870 police shotgun, but this is the Mossberg version. So it's 590. two things. It's not an A1. The A1 has the aluminum trigger guard. This is just a regular 590, so it has a plastic trigger guard. Saw a couple of different versions of this online. This is the version I was hoping for. I actually saw a version of this with sights, and I saw a version of this with a heat shield. I didn't want any of that. I wanted that old school police shotgun look, and this absolutely has that. It's got a short 18.5 barrel. The magazine tube goes almost all the way to the barrel. Just a gold bead on the front, and wooden furniture, dark stain on it, some stippling on the
Looks
grip.
black in the video.
Yeah, but
dark.
it's not. It's just like a really dark. I don't know if that lighting changes it. Still look black. Anyway,
It's brown,
not black.
but yeah.
But it's super dark, but still looks it's still wood. You can still see the grain. Cylinder bore, but the 590 barrels are super easy to thread for chokes, either rem chokes or Mossberg chokes. I'll do rem chokes because I have rem chokes, and rem chokes you can just walk into a Canadian Tire and walk out with them. So it's 2 3/4 or 3-inch. The barrel is 18.5. Slight weight, right? There's nothing to it. I really like it. It's everything I hoped it would be. It's a cool retro looking shotgun. I like it. The other thing was Phoenix, the company that produces my production optics pistol, the Phoenix Redback, that I got from the Calgary Shooting Center, sent me a care package. They sent me these really nice aluminum blue anodized grips to put on the gun. My magazines have blue aluminum anodized bumpers on the bottom, so that's going to kind of look pretty cool. Blue is my favorite color, so I got blue accents now on the gun. And I got this sweet Phoenix team shirt. It says official team across the front here, the IPSC logo on top. That's Swiss flag on one side, the URL on the other arm, and then you've got Phoenix uncompromising quality logo on the front. It's got a cool flame because, Phoenix rising up out of the flame or the ashes, and so the flame is in full effect on the shirt to represent the Phoenix. And yeah, man, excited to have the Phoenix team shirt, and I've got 2 matches coming up, one in June and one in July, so I'm really looking forward to getting out and getting my IPSC game on. And that's all I did. I put the grips on the gun tonight before the show. Yeah. What about you, Adriel? What did you get up to?
I ordered a Winchester Wildcat 22 just now.
Oh boy.
And,
I love when we buy shows while we buy guns during the show.
And I need some more Ruger 1022 mags, so I'm probably gonna order some of those, and I don't know, a bunch of other like random stuff. GoTenda had the sale on that Winchester aluminum ammo for $3.99 for 2,000. So I'm gonna order one of those, or 2,000 of those, whichever one you want to call it. And yeah, I think that's all. I might go out to the range this weekend. Really, what I got to do is start emailing out and getting the Ronavirus maple seeds rolling, because there's a bunch of like additional restrictions and a bunch of extra logistics I'm going to have to handle with regards to that. Having cleaning products on hand, pre-packaging a bunch of stuff so that we don't have to like touch a bunch of stuff and pass a bunch of stuff back and forth. So I'm going to try to do as much of that stuff as possible before having to head out. My local 3-gun club is running a match. Is that this weekend or next weekend? Next weekend. I haven't signed up. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not. I might. I don't know. I got enough with 2 maple seeds this month and whatnot, but I still have the guns for it. Like I could do a 3-gun match without too much difficulty. I've got enough stuff that I could just run it. I think that's about it. Yeah, I'm gonna shoot some more 22s. So Winchester Wildcat on the way. I guess I should sell a couple of 22s. Still got a Mossberg Plinkster. I had been holding off gun sales for a little bit because right now, in order to mail a gun, you have to mail it. What's the one? Age verification, some stupid thing, because they don't do signature verification. So you have to give them some other thing to do, and they'll do
You
that
know the way
one for
around
real.
this?
What's that?
There's a way around this, Adriel. Get the where'd you
Have
go?
a business card.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
all you got to do is walk up, give that number, and you're good. That's it. No more questions asked.
But I still need them to do something on the other end, so they don't just like drop a gun on someone's doorstep and walk away.
Why not? They've been doing that for a decade.
Yeah, I guess that's the other thing to think about, is just to not worry about it and just mail it, and it'll probably be fine. And if someone steals it,
I had an AR sitting on my doorstep for 3 days when I was away. No signature required because, well, there was supposed to be a signature. It said signature, but yeah, there was no signature. So luckily the package was still there.
Yeah. So that's about all I was up to this week. Dave?
Trevor, Andrew Mason is wondering what that shotgun cost you.
What it cost me and what it costs Andrew is not the same number.
What's retail on it?
I don't know. It was like somewhere between $700 and $800, let's say.
So go Google that, Andrew. Is what?
No, don't Google it. Go to the Calgary Shooting Center website and look it up.
Calgary Shooting Center. Okay.
Yeah, it was. I think it was north of $750.
If you're going for the authentic police look, you should shear the bead off it because they always tear off coming out of the rack.
And you need to go test it out on your local fire hall too. Just make sure.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh,
Maybe butt stroke someone who's not paying attention.
Dave.
What do you mean that's low? Isn't that like the official testing range for police firearms these days? Just asking.
No, that
what I
was a horrible case of friendly fire during a goddamn shit show, and the boys were doing the best thing they could at the time.
I know.
missing.
I'm not going to mock them.
Missing. That was the best thing they could do.
Thank God they're bad shots.
Fuck you guys. I'd like to see how you perform in that situation.
Probably terribly. I play
There
paintball.
you
And a
go.
lot of
So
people
glass
get shot.
houses and shit.
So yeah, but it's not
Might
my
not
job.
miss.
I know they were doing their very best. Anyway, what have I been up to in guns? I donated $100 to the CCFR. So, see you in court. Tracy Wilson is my hero even more than usual because she responded to one of Bill Blair's announcements with "see you in court," and she got way more likes on that than Bill Blair got on his original comment. So that was absolutely hilarious. Got to sign up Guelph. Andrew Vincent is running some service pistol, NSCC style pistol matches at Guelph, so I've got to go sign up for some of them. And did some gardening and did assorted plotting with communications around the gun ban and sort of what organizations are going to do. Aurelia Gun Club is reopening under very limited circumstances. I was going to go shooting, but I'm an hour and a couple minutes away, and they only allow you to be there for an hour and 15 minutes. So it's really not worth it. 2.5-hour drive to go shoot for an hour. So I'm not going to bother with that. But the club is at least open. And the ORA, we're still waiting to hear from the military on when we can get back on the ranges. Nothing from them yet. Kelly, what have you been up to in guns? I'm cooking chicken.
Exactly. Let me share Gallon's picture of his bear here. That guy right there. There's Gallon and his bear.
Oh, nice.
You can't see with the brim of that. The brim of the hat is covering up your massive face wound there very well.
Yeah, covering up my wounds.
Did you get a weight on him, Gallon?
No, I don't have a scale. I'm really bad at estimating. I'm like 170 pounds, so he weighs more than me.
Fair enough.
What do you want?
Yeah, he's over 200 pounds, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure. It was a sow. It's a dry sow.
Okay.
And
it's a good size sow then.
Yeah, she was about 5 feet 5 inches, I think I measured her at. But like her head and her neck.
I was just gonna say, look at her head. Her head is so you look at the ears, right? Apparently the ears stop growing very early, and the bigger the bear, the farther apart the ears are because the head keeps growing, but the ears don't. So the ears spread far apart, and so when you're trying to estimate the size of a bear when you're up a tree, that's one of the things I was taught to look at: how far apart are those ears?
Yeah, that's cool.
And that bear's ears are quite far apart.
But
Very
yeah, she's a good bear.
Bear.
There's 2 others hanging around. There's a really nice one with a white V, but she's got a cub, so you can't touch that till fall, right?
Yeah.
But come fall, she'll just be bigger.
Yep.
Yeah, true enough.
Cool. Calgary Shooting Center's in the Facebook. Hey, I bought a rifle off you guys. Can you just slip that in the mail? Just put it in a box.
Awesome. All right, cool. Let's move into upcoming events, and we have a new sponsor for upcoming events. The upcoming events section is sponsored by Telos Alpha. Telos Alpha is a Canadian digital agency that works exclusively in the firearms vertical. They help them with business processes, strategic planning, websites, e-commerce, and battling the stigma the industry carries with banks, merchant processors, and social media. Their mission statement: empower and enable our clients to grow, thrive, and ascend to the maximum contribution in the firearms industry. Underscores everything they do. They are firearms enthusiasts and understand firearms culture. They hold open webinars to help any firearms business get the edge and succeed, and are involved in the industry at all levels. They are committed to the success and growth of the firearms community, culture, and lifestyle in Canada and the United States. Learn more at telosalpha.com. Under upcoming events, we have the 5th annual Ronnie DeGroot Memorial Steel Challenge, which was supposed to be Saturday, but is now the 4th of July. Open registration is now open on PractiScore. Costs $25. The rules we follow are based on the USPSA Steel Challenge rules and stages. The stages are nearly identical, with the exception some of them are not quite as long as they should be because of rangeability. We make them fit the bay that works best for me, as far as logistics and planning and building. We're only going to run 7 stages this year instead of 8. There will be 7 squads of 10 people. Cost is $25. There, last I checked, there's 70 spots, and last I checked, there was 23 people registered. So there's still lots of room. Like Adriel said, there are certain things we have to do. Mostly, what we're going to do is we're going to forego any range orientation, welcome meeting, any of that stuff. You're going to get your squad and your starting bay in an email the night before. Get out your car, grab your kit, go straight to where you're starting. There'll be a safety table, gun up there, and carry on. You don't go into the next bay until that squad has left, so we can keep it at 10 per bay per group. News.
It'd be a good idea for that is to pre-record like a 5-minute video and just put it up on YouTube and then send a link when you email them.
Let me know when it's ready, and I'll be sure to share it, okay? Because that sounds like something that I don't give a fuck about and I'm not going to do. So there's that. Any news?
Sure. Yeah.
Cool. What do you got?
There was a tip that this is a new one that we hadn't discussed before, but in 2011 there was a tip to the RCMP that Nova Scotia gunman wanted to kill a cop, and that was apparently purged from the records at some point, which it sounds like it makes sense because you can't keep the stuff on record forever. But again, when this first came out, one of the things that we were talking about was that there would have been red flags, and maybe no one raised the red flags to the RCMP, but it appears that there were red flags and they were raised to the RCMP multiple times.
Cool. Any other news
there was
items?
a post from CBC today on that as well, that they finally said, oh yeah, all 5 of his firearms were illegally acquired.
Yeah, 3 of them were smuggled in from the U.S. One of them was from some estate that he was taken care of, and apparently he got a gun from some estate. And the other one was the RCMP member's firearm. It's not really a lot of
state
details.
loophole.
There kind of is, isn't there? Like, can't
There
you
is,
take
actually.
you can take possession of a firearm when you're taking some care of someone's estate, even without a PAL?
Yeah, if you're the executor of an estate, you are allowed to be in possession of firearms. I bought a collection from an executor, and I got there, and they were all on a bed under a duvet, not a trigger lock in sight. I'm like, what are you doing? Well, they didn't tell me I had to lock anything. So they know you don't have a firearms license. They know you're in possession, but they didn't coach you through safe storage? No, I didn't know these had to be locked.
Yeah, LaSalle. And you can
Illicit.
actually possess prohibs too, right? It's whatever firearms they
Yep.
had as the executor. So that just kind of
Correct.
puts lie to the entire prohibited firearms deal.
Yeah, it's all magic and unicorn farts. It doesn't matter.
Nice.
Yeah,
Mm.
indeed.
Okay. All right. Speaking of stuff that doesn't matter.
Man, you're in some mood today.
Well, the
Yeah.
one thing, like a lot of people in Alberta are bragging that Alberta's going to appoint their own CFO, like they're the first ones to do it. Like Ontario
already-
makes the CFO the top cop or a member of the RCMP, but in other jurisdictions across the country, the CFO is just a career bureaucrat that's appointed by public safety of that province.
Yeah, and if you don't opt to appoint one will be appointed for you. But
Mhm.
you could appoint one yourself the whole time. That was always an option.
Yeah, we also have a New Brunswick Firearms Advisory Committee, and we've had for decades.
You do?
Yep. We've talked
Interesting.
about it on this show. We've interviewed the president of the New Brunswick Firearms Advisory Committee a couple of times on this show, and they advise the minister, and then the minister takes those recommendations to the CFO. That's the power they have in New Brunswick.
And then they take those and then they
Do what they want
Put 'em in
do what
the
they
trash
want.
bin.
because
Throw 'em in the
discretionary
garbage.
powers. But we've had a good run of CFOs in New Brunswick, and we've got an excellent one right now. So we could be doing
Yeah.
a lot worse. We're working within the system we have.
Anyways, yeah, we're going to have our own firearms advisory committee. The other thing that they mentioned, so the firearms advisory committee is made up of people who actually know
Will
what they're
there
talking about.
will there be victims groups represented? Because if you're shot by a firearm, you're all automatically an expert on
Nope.
firearms.
No, they
Wait,
don't have
no, you're an expert
victims
on getting
groups.
shot. That's what you're an expert on.
Yeah, no, we don't have any human targets represented in the advisory committee.
No psychologists?
Pretty wide
How
selection.
can you have a
of-
firearms advisory committee with those psychologists, Adriel? I don't understand.
I don't even think they have anyone in gender studies.
What?
No.
No.
What?
Where are these people
not-
supposed to work then? They took gender studies.
Oh, that's not right. You
That's
need to
not
do
right
your
at all.
gender-based analysis to make sure that your firearms are classified properly.
How will the people in this committee know what pronouns to use? This is
It's
not
true.
fair.
Just guess.
Probably
Just
a hate
guess.
crime just by. Oh no, Adriel. Oh, you just got us cut off Facebook, YouTube, and everywhere else. Way to go.
So you guys, I blame you
I'll
guys.
see you in court.
Yeah. Anyways, they're doing their own advisory committee. The other thing that they mentioned was that the
Sweet
Calgary
Jesus.
the Calgary police had been doing their own firearms tracing, and that the rest of the province wasn't. The rest of the province was using some centralized RCMP thing, and that was taking 8 months. So they would send in a firearm to say, hey, can you trace this? Tell us what's up with this thing. It would take 8 months. So they're bringing that in province, which
Should just
sounds
send
very
them to
practical.
you.
What's that?
Should just send them to you. It'd probably be quicker.
This is funny.
What?
I need to speak to Gallon for a second. I'm sorry, Adriel. Gallon, I just got a message from one of your exes, and just a friendly reminder not to tell any stories.
You
And I
want to talk
prom-
about it?
No, do not talk about her, because I
Why
promised
not?
her. I promised her if ever you talk about her, I have to tell her, and then she gets to cut your junk off or whatever.
She don't even live in the province anymore.
She's got a car, man, and she knows how to find you.
No,
Okay,
she
move
can't
on, Adriel.
drive. She's a woman.
Just a friendly reminder from one of Gallon's friends. I was asked this
Kim.
Really slipping on off the deep end here.
I'm
Yeah,
getting
anyway,
much
so
better
we're
messages.
opening up our own provincial firearms tracing lab because the RCMP are doing such a terrible job at it, and it's so backed up. 8 months is ridiculous for a timeline to get a firearms traced. I was kind of hoping for more. Like I'm glad we've got an advisory committee. I don't think the Liberals are going to listen to it very much because they don't have any seats out here. There's literally no political
don't
fallout
care.
from like completely ignoring Alberta. So I'm not sure how it's
Like
supposed
they
to
always do.
influence things at the federal level. I'm glad we have it. I was hoping that Kenny would do something else, like some other incremental step, kick the RCMP out and replace them with a provincial police force, something that would get us closer to taking control of our own province a little bit more. Instead of, because he came in real hot. He came in saying these are firearms that hunters are using, and we don't need laws in Alberta that are dreamed up for Toronto problems. We have our own thing going here, and then he didn't do anything that would like counteract it very strongly. He did say that he was considering jumping in on one of the lawsuits against the federal government, which would be interesting.
Yes, that was probably the coolest thing that he announced so far. Like that's huge. That's American talk right there. Federal government's messing with the Second Amendment. Well, guess what? This particular state is not going to follow it, and we might see you in court over it. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
rather
would be
see
good.
our province say, we're not going to follow it. Here's how. We're going to kick the RCMP out and put our own police force in, and they're just not going to enforce this stuff.
When PALS
that's-
came into effect, the New Brunswick government must have been conservative at the time, because our DNR publicly said, we ain't asking for a PAL in the woods. We'll enforce the Provincial Wildlife Act. Somebody else can enforce federal firearms laws. We just want to see a hunting license.
That sounds extreme, but I mean, like, look at Vancouver. For the longest time, had marijuana dispensaries operating like carte blanche. The police were like, "No, we won't deal with it. It's against the law, but we're not going to do anything about it." So, like, it's not without merit that municipalities or provinces choose not to enforce federal law when they don't like it. That would be cool. That'd be cool if that's the way we go in Alberta here. It's like, yeah, I hear you, but we're not going to do any of that.
Yeah.
Sanctuary
Yeah, you're
province, I
creating
like it.
problems that you want us to administer. No.
Well, and it's a solution that isn't supported here.
Hmm.
It's not supported whatsoever, and
Nope.
it's up to us to
Because it's not a
enforce it.
solution.
Yeah.
None of these gun bans are going to do
Increasing the
anything
problem.
to prevent crime of any kind. So why are we doing them? Because we're politicians and we always have to appear to be doing something, even if that something is actually a nothing.
Well, it's more than a nothing. I mean, you take all that money and all that time and all that effort and all that police resources and every other resource and put it towards something that's useless. You've done worse than doing nothing. You're actually
True.
causing harm. We're less
Yes.
safe.
Yeah, I know $2.2 million is a drop in the bucket, especially with the COVID cash that's being thrown around. But the fact is, there are 2.2 million license holders in Canada, and every one of them is getting a letter at about the cost of $1 a letter.
No, way more. Those aren't $1 per. Those are some nice brochures that they're sending around. That's
All right.
not $1.
2?
I don't
That's
know.
insane.
It's gonna be
Just
a
send
lot.
it back.
Like that.
Send it back. Alan's answer is to waste more
Send it
money.
back.
I
It's an option.
disagree with that.
Why?
Yeah.
Well, don't
Why?
send it back to the RCMP.
Crank up the
Send it
cost.
to your MP.
Crank up the cost. Burn it down.
Oh man, I want Yellowstone to erupt. Okay. You want to do the range donation update, Adriel? Is there something new in there?
Yeah. I mean, the Rock Cutting Shooting Club. Ross Notter donated $1,000, and his club donated $2,500 to the CCFR and the
Giddy
same
up.
to the NFA.
Oh,
And the
nice.
Calgary Shooting Center just let us know on Facebook there that they sent in $5,000 to the CCFR's legal challenge. So that's cool too.
So I hope the other retailers in Canada are going to step up and match that. I hope it's kind of like a challenge that goes out. Wolverine has donated buku bucks as well. So Calgary's on the board. Wolverine's on the board. I'd really like to see this list grow. So if you're a retailer or an employee at a retailer and you're listening and your shop has donated money to the challenge, please let us know so we can brag about the good work that you're doing. Send us an email. Let us know, please. New gun stuff, Adriel. What's going on with this MRA? What are they're teasing me all over Instagram with these little, it's like an underboob pic. It's like, ooh, I see a little bit of something there. What's going on? What's coming? What's
BCG?
next?
What is that thing? What is that?
What is that? Show me
Yeah.
more.
Maple Ridge
Post a
Armory.
photo, take my money.
Where do I send the money? Where do I send the EMT? Maple Ridge Armory has been releasing little teaser images of their new straight pull that they talked about on our show here a couple weeks ago. So that's cool, and that's something that's coming up. I mean, for people whose AR is in OIC prison, take all the parts off that, put it on this thing, go play with it again. So that's cool. Speaking of things that you can play with during this
Yes.
time,
What?
I Run Guns is bringing in some Ruger American Ranch. So the cool thing about this is that these take an AR-15 mag, and that's the 5.56 version. 7.62 by 39 version takes mini 30 mags, which is less interesting to me because they're only 5 rounds. I prefer the AR mags. So if you have AR mags, or if you wanted to shoot a 3-gun match and you had nothing compatible with it, I guess you could use one of these. Stick a big old
We
mag
were
in there.
talking about these for service rifle. If you can't dig up a semi-auto or can't afford a semi-auto,
What
then
about a
hey,
par? Wouldn't a par be a better option than this?
A par would be $1,000.
Have you
How much are a
priced
par?
those pars? No, they're getting close to $2,000. They're
Going
ridiculous.
crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely getting up there. Actually,
I wish this was available not on the gray market, because I'm not about the gray market, and I Run Guns is the gray market.
Yes. Yeah, they are. One other thing I just wanted to mention. So 3-gun, have I told you guys about the divisions that they're running? It's kind of interesting. So I've been talking to a lot of people, and some people are like, "Oh, so 3-gun's dead right now, right?" And well, no, it's not dead. So how isn't it dead, and what are people using? Okay, so there still are semi-automatic firearms that people are using for their rifle and shotguns. So they're still good to go on that. We still have open TAC Ops Limited. Those are staying as is. Still have ACRs, Tavors, all that kind of stuff. But the other thing that we've done is add one more division for people who had an AR as their competition rifle and now are stuck with something that's not nearly as good. So not nearly as good would be something that's clip-fed semi-auto or box-fed bolt action. So we made a new division called Clipazine, where you could use a lever action in it. You'd be a little bit slow in that one.
Adriel, I never thought I'd say this, but I think I would go to Cowboy Action before doing that.
Pull on the assless chaps and cosplay. Give yourself a Wild West name.
I have a question.
And yeah,
have you ever seen chaps with an ass?
All chaps are assless.
Yeah.
Trevor's right for once.
Sounds like you're an expert in this. I don't know.
He is.
Chaps, yeah.
Because if they're not assless, they're pants.
They're pants, leather pants. Yeah.
I'm not an expert in lederhosen either. Anyways, that's up to you. If you want to put on some frilly leather jackets that have tassels on them, go ahead. But if you still want to shoot 3-gun,
3-gun with a bolt action,
or with an SKS or an M1 Garand, now you have a division. Advice. Yeah, because a clip-fed SKS, you could totally run that. You could run an M1 Garand. You could run one of those Ruger American Ranches if you've got a whole bunch of 10-round magazines. You just have to work that bolt really fast. And the reason why is that some people, they had one competition at rifle, and that rifle is in jail now. And what else are they going to use?
Is the Robinson Armament XCR is
toast.
XCR is toast?
Yeah. WC 180 isn't.
The WK 180 and the ACR are really the ones that are still out there that are still good for something like this. If you had a Tavor or a T97, you could use those as well. Not as good, but still available. Again, this is just because this change was recent, and most people can't turn around on a dime and just have like another firearm in their safe to use. So we had to offer something.
I was looking at my stuff, and I'm like, all of my competition rifles got prohibited, all of them, plus my deer rifles. So, I'm kind of effed at the moment because I don't have thousands and thousands of dollars, and then I don't have thousands and thousands of hours to replace all the training time that I've put in on the AR-15 platform.
Yeah,
I mean, I shot everything with AR-15s, so.
I mean, the other option is to rimfire. Go rimfire on all this stuff, right? A rimfire action rifle. Yeah.
Yep. Agreed. Okay, question from a listener just came in. They would like us to expand upon the gray market, explain it a little bit. What is the gray market?
I mean, there's official importers that bring product in. You could think about like this phone is from Singapore. I bought it off Amazon. I can't get support from Samsung here. If this thing craters, I don't have a warranty for it.
Right. So let me give another analogy that this person will be familiar with. Freedom Ventures is the importer, sole importer and distributor for Tanfoglio and STI in Canada. They have a record of every firearm they've imported in the country. So I Run Guns imports these guns somehow from somebody in the United States, circumventing the official importer, and sells it to you. So you've been waiting on a special order STI from Sean at Freedom Ventures for months and months and months and months and months. All of a sudden, I Run Guns has that gun for sale. So you're like, hey, what do I know? I don't care. The gun's a gun. He's got it. I've got money. I'm buying it. Okay. Don't look to Sean for support for that product because you circumvented the official recognized importer and kind of skipped your way to the head of the line and bought that gun without going through the exclusive importer. You get no support from the importer because you didn't buy from him or one of his dealers. That's the gray market. The gray market is when they circumvent the system that's in place of official importers and exclusive dealers or distributors rather.
So then the question I would have on that is if the gun is still under manufacturer warranty and they are the manufacturer warranty in the country, why would they not cover it? Because is the bill not just going back to the manufacturer?
It really depends on the firearm and the manufacturer. Some of them support regardless. Some of them will only support through their distributor channel that they bring in. So it really depends on the manufacturer.
Interesting.
And if
remember
the
cars
manufacturer
used to do
warranty, like if I'm Sean Hansen at Freedom Ventures, I'm saying deal with I Run Guns. You bought it from them. Let them warranty it for you. So,
Yeah.
You know, so that's the gray market. All right.
Interesting.
Where are we at next?
Main topic.
Main topic. All right. So, Galen, you are the guest for the main topic, and I want to tell you I don't care. I have absolutely no interest in this topic, and I think maybe you would talk this over with Kelly, but Kelly got mad at me and left or whatever. So, anybody want to talk to Galen about politics? Because I sure don't.
All right, I'm just going to sum it up for everybody because
There you
Trevor
go.
doesn't want to talk about it. Trevor is so disinterested in this. I got a hold of him a couple of weeks ago, and I said, "Hey,
No,
we
this
should
isn't
talk
about me or
about
my level of interest. This is
it's my show now. My show." So I got a hold of him a couple of weeks ago, and I said, "Trevor, we should talk about the CPC leadership." And he's like, "Ruger PCC stuck, and you're not that good, and a whole bunch of other guys are going to come out, and they're going to take you." What are you talking about besides insulting me?
It was like 5:30 in the morning. I hadn't had a coffee yet, and I read the text quickly. I thought you were going on about getting on a PCC team again.
No, here to talk politics. My show. Please be quiet. Play with your gun. So I've been following the leadership a little bit, and I wanted to give my 2 cents on some of the candidates. And I'm not representing any organization talking about this or anybody except me and Trevor. So the 4 candidates right now, we have McKay, and we've got Sloan and Lewis and O'Neill. O'Toole. So I watched all their CCFR town meetings today, and I've been following their platforms a bit and stuff. And I'm really into Lewis, surprisingly. I think that's
You wish you were.
the one for us. So a lot of people around here, I live in the Maritimes, right? I'm in New Brunswick. A lot of people are rooting for Peter MacKay. I think my personal 2 cents, again, not representing any organization or anybody's opinion but my own, I feel he's a red Tory. That's just how I feel. I don't like the guy. Sloan, even the party doesn't want him running. He's had to take them to court twice so he can run. Sloan had the best firearms platform. He wants to get rid of the restricted class of firearms and just have guns that are legal and guns that are not, right? Everybody else was about the same. They want to adopt the simplified classification system, which is conservative policy. They're going to undo C71 and the OIC. So I give everybody else like maybe a C, right?
That
Liberals take a couple of steps.
simplified
We take a couple of steps back.
the simplified change to the classification is a good idea, and that one will
It's a good idea.
it will undo a lot of nonsense that has been happening for the last 10 years.
And that's why they get a C and not a D. Right? I just feel like it's a common sense move, right? It's like scrapping the gun registry. That was awesome, but it was not a huge step forward. It's not like we suddenly started issuing permits to defend yourself or legalizing a whole classification of guns we didn't previously have access to, or doing away with magazine. Those are step forwards to me. So everybody else, I give them about a C, but I understand that, you know, firearms aren't the only thing that they're running on. But back to McKay, like I've had guys say to me like, oh man, he can take Nova Scotia, he can turn it blue. Nova Scotia's like 15 seats federally. Who cares, right? I'm not being a dick. Nobody gives a shit about Nova Scotia federally. They're not relevant. Nobody in the Maritimes is relevant in federal politics, right? It's Upper Canada, it's Toronto, Gatineau, Ottawa, Montreal. These are the areas that make or break elections for you. So I like O'Toole. I think he's a no-nonsense guy. He runs in the Toronto area. But my big issue with O'Toole and lesser McKay is that how are they that different from Scheer, right? You might take the leadership. He's a popular candidate. I think O'Toole's a good guy. But as soon as he gets the leadership, all the media is going to ignore him, just like they did Scheer. They're going to find some soundbite from 30 years ago where he goes, yeah, personally, I don't like abortion or something. And they're going to just, land base the guy over it. So it's not going to be any different than Scheer because he's a white Irish guy and nobody cares, right? This is where Lewis comes in, and I'm not going to be real PC about it. Like she's a woman of color, right? She's an immigrant. She was born in Haiti, I believe it was, or Jamaica. And she's a lawyer. She runs her own firm in Toronto, small business woman. Sorry about the dog barking in the background. I'm outside right now. She has a second degree in environmental science. And if you look at the platform, she's the most conservative of the bunch, like everybody else. And I mean, I'm not beating up on anybody, just giving my own 2 cents, everything I've read here, right? The media's gone around to the candidates and they go, hey, Furlot, are you going to march in the Pride Parade? You go, yeah, I'll put on a dress or whatever it takes. Then they go to the next guy and they're like, hey, how do you feel about that? And they're like, oh, I'll wear red high heels if I have to, right? And they're just trying to appease to a voting demographic that typically doesn't vote conservative, right? If Peter MacKay walks downtown Toronto wearing a dress and high heels, it's not going to change anything. These people still traditionally vote to the left, right? The NDP, the Liberals, the Green. So they went to Lewis and they said, are you going to march in the Pride Parade? Well, I haven't before. Right? Nothing against those people. I haven't before. I'm not going to start now just because I'm, running for the leadership. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, like this is what I'm looking for in a leader. But for those demographics, I don't like identity politics. I think that's a pile of bullshit, but it's a reality, right? Here we have a woman who is a person of color, right? It's a female and an immigrant. These are 3 really, really hard to tap demographics for the conservatives, right? It's traditionally spots that we don't do that well. And just because of who she is, she's going to attract that demographic. And we're going to get in on those identity politics. I don't see how McKay or O'Toole or Sloan is going to tap in and appeal to women, people of color, or new Canadians, right? Leslyn Lewis has that going for her. In addition to all that, she has that second degree in environmental science. So when Sox wants to talk about, carbon taxes and everything else, she's not coming in with bullshit. She's actually educated on the subject. She can walk circles around this guy. She's the anti-Trudeau. She's a person of color, a woman, a new immigrant with a degree in the environment, and the most conservative of the bunch. Like, I want to see her run just so lefties' heads explode. So then some other people were saying to me, well, she ran And she didn't win the last election, right? Well, she didn't get a lot of coverage. Obviously, the mainstream media works for the Liberal government, right? They paid them $600 million last year of my money and your money. So they're going to toe the line for whoever's running for the Liberals. But if we get the first real woman leadership running in the CPC besides that disaster Campbell back in the 90s, right, that's going to turn some heads. You can't ignore it. It's going to happen, right? People are going to be looking at this, and a lot of the lefties are going to go, wait a minute, I have to vote for her. That's what they've been telling me for years. This person has value, right? And the Liberals are really worried about running.
It would help with a lot of arguments don't have any substance. Like last time around, they like got out a shovel and dug up abortion to talk about that as if that's been an issue for the last 15 years here in Canada, which it hasn't. And I think that if you're from a couple of groups that identify as minorities, you can shield yourself a little bit from those kinds of discussions. You can shield yourself from sexism and racism by being a female person of color. So that would help. The other, like some of the other stuff you're mentioning, just not trying the same things over again, would help as well. I see McKay got a photo op of drinking milk to show his subservience to the Canadian milk lobby, which is kind of a stickler for me. But
that's what paints him as a red Tory for me, right? The milk cartel, the supply management. Is that a conservative idea that we're going to allow this group of overlords in Quebec to dominate the milk industry for the whole there's nothing conservative about that, right? Fuck the milk industry.
No.
I want to see a real conservative run, right?
More libertarian person run would be my preference. But
and then people talk about her political experience, which she has none because she had to emigrate here and start her law firm.
Gallon, hold on.
Sure.
We elected a drama teacher. I don't want to ever hear anyone talk about political experience.
That's what a lot of the conservative detractors are going on, right? So my take on that is she's not a tit-sucking politician who's been in it the last 40 years, right? You get guys like McKay coming in going, oh, I'm going to change shit. You're in the government for 15 years.
You ain't changing shit. You're in it.
What did you do? Right?
Yeah, what did you do?
Now we get somebody who comes along out of nowhere and she wants to run and she's going to buy all these demographics in Toronto and Upper Canada.
I want to steer this the other way, Gallon.
Sure.
We know who your preferred candidate is and why. Touch again and expand upon why the other ones are bad choice. One at a time. Pick one.
I don't know if you've covered it yet, but what's her firearms policy, or what's her firearms platform?
She's going to repeal the OIC, adopt the simplified classification system. Right. It was the same as McKay and O'Toole, basically, in a nutshell. Right. Okay. I think they're all reading from the same book there.
Yeah.
And
Lewis was written for
Lewis doesn't have a PAL. She was in the course for it in December. And then because of the leadership and stuff, she had to cancel taking her PAL course, but she's on the short list to get into it as soon as the course is open back up in Ontario. So why are the others a bad choice? Sloan, nobody wants him. He made some comments about immigration years ago, and media is going to eat him alive. Even the Conservative Party has tried twice to legally block him from the leadership, and he's going through court with them and stuff like that. The other two guys, personally, I feel McKay's a red Tory. I like O'Toole.
Now, Tory. I don't like the idea of a red Tory, but a red Tory may get us traditional Liberal voters.
Just for the people on the podcast who don't understand, what is a red Tory?
Oh, it's a conservative member who has a lot of liberal views and opinions. That red color, the liberals are red, the conservatives are blue. So a red Tory is a Tory that has a lot of liberal tendencies. Would you agree, Gallon?
Yeah.
Another definition of red Tory.
Sums it up nicely.
Okay.
I can't say it on the show.
Specifically progressive on social issues, or because it's an entire idea of financially conservative, socially progressive. Is that what a red Tory is?
Not necessarily. It can be on any issue, like McKay with the milk cartel and the supply management, right? He's trying to suck whole liberal voters. They're going to take out, just like they did in the last leadership campaign, they're going to take out memberships because they want to vote for the guy that's not going to pull that little show apart for them. But they're going to vote liberal because they always do, right? They're just strategically taking out leadership so they can get their guy in. So no matter who wins, conservatives, liberal, we're protecting the supply management in Quebec. That's why they're pulling those memberships out. So I think that if it came down to McKay or O'Toole, I think we're just going to see a replay of the last election we had here in Canada where media just ignored him, right? I mean, most people couldn't tell you what Scheer looks like because he got no airtime, right? Trudeau bought the media so they can ignore these guys, and all they play is the couple of bad sound bites they have of them. They don't give them any positive coverage. The election rolls around and nobody really knows who they are. I wasn't crazy about Scheer. I was lukewarm on him at best. I mean, I'm going to support the team no matter what. But at the end of the day, he was a better candidate than they let on he was. Everybody ignored him in the media. And then another move I have been liking by the Conservatives is a lot of them refuse to sit down with rebel media, right? And they've got a bit of a reputation and stuff, but you don't refuse any positive PR, right? If rebel media is going to spin the Conservatives as something positive, right? Sit down with them. And when Trudeau and the free shit army start yelling and screaming that, oh my God, they're Nazi radio, like, just blow them off, right? That's it, right? You get CBC and we get the rebel. Is what it is. And Slamfire Radio.
Yeah. I mean, like, realistically speaking, McKay and O'Toole are in the lead for the party leadership. One of them is probably going to take it. I don't think they're going to beat Trudeau at the next election if it's anytime soon.
If there's an election tomorrow, he gets his majority back.
Oh, easily. Yeah, I would say in the next like half year, he's probably got it, because there's just no way to get around the fact that he bought like a ton of votes just by willy-nilly handing out cash. I think he did another $500 to all the seniors today or yesterday. So I mean, he's bought the election for the short term. If it's long term, maybe
it's going to run this fall. Everybody's rumoring about a fall election because of that, right? Get the election in, he can get his majority, and then the bills come due. But he still has 4 years to clean up, right? And I mean, we really don't remember what happened last week. So I think this is why it's important that we try a different candidate, right? We need a different strategy. We got more votes, but just the way the seats fall, the Liberals still took the government in the last election. So I think if we had a good rounded candidate, and we can tap into some new demographics, importantly, tap into some new demographics, I think we'd have a good shot at this election.
Yeah. I like, the only reason I care is I just want the party that won't screw with the gun things. And the Conservatives are the only party that won't. Every other party has some sort of anti-gun platform. The NDP, the Greens, the Liberals. The NDPs might be convinced to change that if enough of their membership told them to. I don't think the Liberals ever will. It's just part of their playbook. Their playbook includes gun control, and it will until they're not a party anymore.
Cool.
Anywho.
Anything else, Galen, on this topic, which you did a really excellent job with, by the way. Thank you for wanting to come on and talk about it. I'm not big on the politics or whatever, but you can't talk guns without talking politics. That's just the way it is, and you did do a good job. Anything else to add?
I think it's important. It's too late now if you're not a member of the Conservative Party already. I took out a membership, so I can.
Did you hear anything? Like I went to the website and I joined, and it was like 5 years for $50, and I sent them my money, and I ain't heard nothing. I'm glad they're not calling me, but
I was getting some drop emails from the candidate that I signed up through, and I was just like, junk folder these, right? I want to read their platforms. I want to watch the CCFR town halls. But yeah, I'm tired of getting an email every second day going, give me some money, give me some results.
I haven't gotten that.
Right?
Weird.
Give me results. I'll give you some money, right? I paid my $15, and that's all you're getting out of me until I see some real changes at the federal level in the gun laws.
Yeah.
If I got money to give, it's going to the CCFR for their challenge.
Yeah, true story.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you, Galen. Let's get into listener feedback, which is brought to us.
Anything.
I miss your face. Sponsored by Armory DC Gunsmith. Armory DC Gunsmith is a full-service gunsmith who specializes in firearms refinishing. He offers hot blowing, parkerizing, and Cerakote finishes, as well as wood refinishing. Check out his online inventory of new and used guns, firearms, accessories, optics, and more at www.dcgunsmith.ca. You can also follow him on the Facebooks and the Instagram. This first one comes to us from Chris. Hi, looking for another episode of the show. Sorry. Hi, looking forward to another episode of the show. Notice he doesn't say which show. He just kind of left that. He said show. It could be any show. I have a question you may be able to answer. Some provinces announced recently that they plan to have their own firearms officer like Ontario. And they're hyped about it. Okay. Well, every province has a CFO's office, and every province has a CFO that's appointed. Some of them are actually the RCMP, like Ontario, and in other provinces, like New Brunswick, it's a bureaucrat that's appointed, and now Alberta will be going that way as well. So
And Saskatchewan.
Yeah. I wonder what difference it would make. No difference. They still have to apply the Firearms Act.
So
yeah.
ATTs might be easier to get, or the other thing that might happen.
Easier to get. They're legally obligated to give it to you. So what do you mean by
on what
easier?
time frame? On what
Right,
time
so-
frame? Do they take it by email? Can I just email in and say like, yo, I'm going here? Do I even need to email them?
So does a new CFO come into work and say, all right, y'all been dragging your asses about the EMTs on purpose. You need to stop delaying them for the sake of delaying them,
Well, they're not really
or it's
delayed
just
in
a
Alberta. Alberta's been pretty
backlog.
good so far.
right?
I think the places where you could make a difference, if you appointed in your CFO and they were quote unquote one of your guys, the differences could be in, hey, do you need a range membership to get your restricted transfers done? Do you need a range membership to get a restricted firearms license?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you don't.
Absolutely.
Not according
In
to the Firearms
Ontario,
Act.
in Ontario, you don't,
And you know why?
because they sued them.
Nope.
Yes, there was a lawsuit in Ontario on that.
So here's I shouldn't have said nope so quickly. Let me tell you the version of this that I am told.
Mhm.
To have a restricted firearm transfer into your name, you have to be a member of a gun club. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's not the Firearms Act. John Gould here in New Brunswick sued them and won successfully on a couple of occasions and was able to get restricted firearms transferred in his name without having joined a gun club. Okay. It's precedent setting. Other people who sued the CFO have reached out to him for advice and help and all that stuff. He represented himself. He took Doyle to court, Brian Doyle, the former CFO, several times. The reason why he won is because it's not in the Firearms Act. Now, the CFOs have their discretionary powers, and this is one of the things that they all got on board on at one of their CFO meetings, is that they're going to require people to be members of gun clubs to get their ATTs. Okay. Now, in
Mhm.
Ontario, it's almost impossible to join a gun club. They're all limited in how many members they take, and they're all basically full. So people in Ontario started to join clubs outside of their own province just to check this box and jump through this hoop.
Mhm.
Silverdale would sell a membership to anyone in the country. It became like a business for them as a means of screwing over the CFO of this stupid policy. And I say good on them. And they put a stop to it and simply said, you don't have to be a member of a gun club. You have to be trying to join one. Now, I don't know what proof they require in Ontario that you're trying to join a gun club, but that's, didn't know about the lawsuit, Adriel. That's the version of the story I had, both, I think, interesting. So anyway, you can get around
No,
it 'cause it's not
A
actually
guy
the
named
Firearms
Dan
Act.
took them to court over that in Ontario. His name's Daniel B.
Mhm.
And he won against the CFO on that, and that's what changed it.
Dan Belowski.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
and,
the other thing you could do is there's a bunch of guys with prohib firearms that can't get an ATT to the range. Maybe they can get ATTs to the range now.
well, they don't need an ATT. The range is attached to their license. It's the short-term ATTs we have to apply for. The long-term ATT to go to the
no,
range went away with the
prohibs like prohib rifles, prohib pistols. Because as far as I know, the prohib rifles are you can't take those
prohib
anywhere.
rifles don't leave the house. Prohib pistols are covered the same as restricted pistols.
So
Restricted firearms just automatically on your long-term ATT. You're allowed to take them to the range. There's not a special prohib pistol ATT.
but there's no way of
'Cause your
moving your
ATT used
prohib
to say-
rifle
That's right. Your prohib rifle can never leave the house.
because
Your
there's no.
ATT
Not, and I'm not talking about the ones that have just been prohibited. The old
Correct.
prohibited ones,
Yes,
like you got some
correct.
old German
They were
submachine gun
never
or something
allowed
like
out
that.
of the house. It's not since 1995. The ATT that we used to get to go to our own ranges every year before they got rid of them with the Common Sense Firearms Act used to say this ATT is good for all restricted and prohibs.
Hmm.
So when we got our long-term ATT attached as a condition of our license, that it included your prohib pistols. Okay, so he continues. He said, so even having own firearms office will not allow a local rule that certainly federal banned firearms are okay in that territory. Talking about provinces and territories have to follow federal firearms rules. That's correct.
Mhm.
Although I heard a local gun store today that I am wrong. I'm going
No,
to read that again. I
it
broke it up in a really weird way. He says, some provinces announced recently that they plan to have their own firearms officer like Ontario. Okay, so again, they already have their own CFO's office. They already all have their own CFOs, and they're hyped about it. I wonder what difference would it make? Zero difference. Provinces and territories have to follow the federal firearms rules, right? Correct. So even having their own firearms office will not allow local rules that certain federal banned firearms are okay in that territory. That's correct. They cannot undo the provincial CFO administers the Firearms Act, but he can't change the Firearms Act. He can't unban something. Although I heard a local gun store today, I'm wrong. Well, a local gun store today, I'm not sure what they said you were wrong about, but the CFO is not going to unban guns if that's ultimately what you're wondering. A plug. I've read a great book recently. Not an easy read, but so much great info and advice I highly recommend. Sold out at Indigo, but available to order directly from the author. No More Mr. Nice Guy by Barry Holland. I don't know anything about it. And that comes to us from Chris. And that was our only email.
Yeah. So having your own appointed CFO, there might be like a couple little nice things. There are some discretionary powers that a CFO has. They're not huge. They're not huge.
Yeah, they're not huge, and usually they use those to add, not take away legislation or policy.
Yes.
Oh, good news. Our CFO, remember I was talking about how reasonable they are? Our range recertification expires August 31st, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So we're hosting the Nationals in 2021. So this year was a big year. Like we were like, oh my God, we get a couple of events we can't cancel. So I canceled SummerSlam because I didn't think I could handle SummerSlam and range recertification. Well, not that we could hold SummerSlam anyway, because a lot of the provincial borders are going to stay closed. So it probably wouldn't be all that well attended. But anyway, we got notice from the CFO that they've extended our certification by a year.
Oh,
so now,
that's nice of them.
Yeah, very nice of them. Now our range, it's just reasonable, common sense stuff, right? With all we're going through, getting the range recertified is A, not a priority for the volunteers. B, it's going to be difficult to get the work done because some of these contractors aren't back to work, et cetera, and so on. So good on them. You know, this is the common sense I've come to expect from the New Brunswick CFO's office.
Would you have to make changes based on how your range is set up right now?
The range, when your range needs to be recertified, one of the things they do is they measure the angle of your berms because your berms sag and erode and all that stuff. There's also trees that grow on the backstops that need to be removed. There's large rock that comes to the surface that needs to be removed. So whenever they're coming in to recertify your range, you need to familiarize yourself with the range standards and then go make sure your range is up to code. Like if an inspector is coming, it's a good idea to know what he's going to inspect when he arrives. So are my berms between 35 and 40 degrees? Is there rock bigger than a golf ball? Are there trees, etc.? New Brunswick has its own range standards. We don't follow the federal guideline. We have our own. and they're actually more stringent than the federal because we are a no danger range. There are danger ranges that use a template that expect rounds to leave the property of the range, and then there are no danger ranges where rounds are not supposed to leave. As a result, our berms are higher and have different angles than the federal. So that's the work that needs to be done, Adriel. Our berms need to be rebuilt.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. That sounds fairly straightforward.
You
I
would
know
think
that
so.
some of the CFO inspectors will push for additional things frequently. So they'll push for like ground baffles and no visible sky and a bunch of other things depending on the range, depending on the
Depending on
inspector.
the-
Yeah.
And
I
I
guess
mean-
that's one other thing that the CFO might have some influence over.
Yes, they're
Is some
responsible
of
for
that.
the certification and ranges. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it would be nice if that wasn't a total gong show, because we had I think I've heard some stories of some of the ranges that have had some real nonsense thrown at them by
Yeah,
the
because they got
inspectors.
yeah, the inspectors typically aren't gunnies, and they're just bean counters, and they're just looking at the numbers in the book, and they don't understand how they apply in the real three-dimensional world, and it can be a nightmare.
Mhm.
So we had a bunch of inspectors quit one time because working for Doyle was a nightmare because he was an idiot. So it caused a real delay in our recertification because the inspectors quit and then didn't submit their reports. So all the ranges had to be re-inspected.
Speaking of the boss being a dumbass, did you guys hear Glenn Motz accuse the Blair of some sort of shenanigans with the license printing
No.
in Parliament? He
I heard he destroyed him, but I didn't hear any details.
well, this was part of it. He was saying like, did you guys ban shotguns? He's like, well, no, this was just assault weapons. He's like, well, you did ban shotguns. What about any 22s? Any 22s in there? Well, no, there was like some. Yeah, you got some 22s in there too. So he did that whole thing. But then he
Nice.
also, like, the last thing he mentioned was, hey, I heard that this license printer, that the printers that went down didn't have to go down, and someone actually made that call to take those printers down. And he said he
Really?
had no knowledge of that, but it was kind of interesting. I didn't know where that came from.
That's greasy.
Well, so sometimes that happens in like power generation. For example, if the price of power isn't high enough and you're a power generator, you say like, oh, we have to take our power plant down for maintenance and we're going to maintain, and really it just jacks the price of power up because now this isn't in place. So is the RCMP choosing to not print licenses?
Yep.
Anyways, I wouldn't entertain a theory like that, but a member of Parliament brought it up, so I thought I'd mention it on the show.
Yeah, and not a lame duck either. He's good.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Emails. As I said, that was our only email. If you'd like to contribute to the emails next week, you can do so by writing us at slamfireradio@gmail.com. An address so easy, even Gallon can remember it.
You guys should ask for more of me. I can come here all the time, but we're gonna have to change the day to Friday or Saturday to fit my schedule. So it is what
Gallon,
it is.
shut up.
What's in your rider? Do you have like brown M&Ms, anything like that?
Mimosas.
Mimosas.
Usually.
Okay.
Yeah, I like mimosas. Cigarettes,
Menthol, Slims.
preferably menthols, super slims.
A lot of people really like your flag there. You got the "Don't Tread on Me" goose in the background there. Yeah, love it.
That's a Cobra chicken.
The Cobra chicken. It's a very angry Cobra chicken.
It is. It is. I'd like to finish the show now, if that's okay.
Go ahead, Trevor.
Go for it.
Thank you, gentlemen. Typically, I would have just told you to shut the F up, but I'm trying to be nice.
Are you?
I already caused one host to quit tonight. I mean, I can't have our guests do the same. Reviews.
I wasn't coming on if you didn't have a beard. Man, you look bad.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Hey, look, it only took a week. It's back. Calm down.
I know. I like it. You look good. You look fantastic.
Thanks, brother. So we got a new Patreon. This is actually a personal friend of mine, somebody that I graduated high school with. Awesome person. Her name is Jessica B, and she is supporting us for $5 a month. That's wicked. And I also enjoy, she'll often send me messages throughout the show, poking fun at me and trying to distract me. It's always good fun. So Thanks for listening, Jess. And thanks so much for being a Patreon. If you would like to be as cool as Jessica B, you can do so by going over to Patreon and signing up for as little as $1 a month or 50 BMG a month, whatever. You'll receive some patches and a sticker in the mail, and from time to time bonus content. Another way that you can support us is if you're going to go shop at Cabela's, and you should only after shopping at the Calgary Shooting Center, you can go to Cabela's by visiting the link on our website. So if you go to our website first, find the Cabela's link, click on that, and make a purchase at Cabela's, we get a kickback. So that's awesome. Shoutouts. My first one goes out to the winning team at Phoenix and the staff at the Calgary Shooting Center. Thank you again for making me a staff shooter for you guys and hooking me up with an amazing pistol. And I can't wait to get out and shoot some IPSC matches and represent. And just thanks for all the support. I really appreciate it. And Jeff, of course, right? Oh, that reminds me. Jeff sent me that new sear cage, Adriel. I got to test that out.
Oh yeah,
See
that
if
should be easy. That'll be easy fix.
If it's a direct fit. I hope it just drops in.
It'll be
but if I gotta fit
fine.
it, I
It'll
gotta
be
fit it.
fine.
It'll be fine. Totally be fine.
Just put it in. Go directly to a match. Don't even test it.
No, I don't need to.
No.
Look at my shirt. This shirt says I don't
Pro. Pro is what the shirt says.
test. What about you,
Flavor
Adriel?
is
Do
what
you
the
have
shirt
any
says.
shoutouts?
Yeah, to Andrew Blundell from Vice President at Chas. He got on that Alberta Firearms Advisory Committee, so it's fantastic news. It's a good
I've
guy.
had my name
Does good
put
stuff.
forward to be on the New Brunswick one.
Yeah?
Yeah. Chris, former club president, resigned and recommended me for this part of the province because we have regional representation, and they acknowledged the receipt from Chris, and I emailed them about it and stuff, and I ain't heard nothing since, so we shall see. Anyway, okay, well, that's good. Congratulations to him. All right, the other two are gone, so that means you, Gallon. Do you have any shoutouts?
I would shout out Justin, but he's not going to the range with me this week, so he's basically dead to me now. Irish Will, Christina, Janet, I know they're all turning in, so say hi to
Irish
everybody.
Will.
Irish Will's awesome. I'm going to bring him up this summer at some point. Once the borders open, I'm going to go to Nova Scotia and kidnap him and then bring him up. Yeah.
Perfect.
Just watch out. He likes to steal underwear.
Okay, as long as it's not my wife's. If I
Yeah, he's a
catch him in
weird
my
guy.
wife's- If I catch him in my wife's underwear drawer, that's where I'll leave him. So that's it. Other than
That's
that,
it.
look forward to seeing. Didn't I meet him once before?
I don't know. Not with me.
No,
Pick your nose.
no, I'm scratching the side of it. I remember he commented on the fact that you were feeding me bacon once on the air.
So you were hungry.
Yeah, of course.
I didn't
take
want you
care
to get
of me.
hangry.
Right. Good man.
What we do on the road. Take care of each other.
Absolutely. Yeah, man, I miss us traveling to matches. That needs to be a
Yes.
thing again.
Yeah, well, as soon as you guys can beat the Rona up there,
Oh
the
no,
rest
we're
of the
good.
province is fine.
We're
You're
open
good
now.
now.
Yeah. So here's where we're at. There are
I thought they
15
had new cases yesterday.
Listen, there are 15 active cases, all directly traceable to Dr. Death, right?
What an idiot.
Because they are
Can I give
all
him a shout out?
because they're all directly traceable to him. And we have 300 people in quarantine. The rest of us are free. Who's the head for the province for the medical health authority?
Yeah, the lady there. Yeah, I know what you mean.
She has said, get off. Zone 5 is back. Everybody can come and go now into Zone 5. 3,000 people have been tested. 300 people are in quarantine. Yes, there are 15 cases, but they're all accounted for. They're all in quarantine or being treated, and they're all directly traceable to him. We will unfortunately stay in orange in this zone only until we go 14 days with a new case. But as long as we get if we do get a new case, it'll start the 14-day clock over, and we'll stay in orange as long as it's traceable to him. If it's not traceable to him and it's like a community spread case or whatever, then we go into red. I don't think we're going to go into red. They got 300 people in lockdown. 3,000 people have been tested. It's all good.
Did you get tested?
Oh, yeah.
Did you really? I hear
Yep.
it's brutal.
It's a small
It's
town.
way up
Like
your nose.
I imagine they tested everyone there.
For like 3 days straight, Adriel, it was like testing for 12 hours a day. Gallon, you were in and out in 20 minutes, man. You got in line. We were at the Civic Center in Campbellton or the arena in Dalhousie. It was so professionally done, so well run. My hats off to those people who put in the long hours to get the testing done. It's rarely have I ever seen a government operation work with such efficiency. It was really well done. And within 24 hours, they called me, and after they called me, I could go online and see my results online. So it was all good. Yeah.
Cool.
So-
Yeah, my coworker went and got checked, and he did he took a night off work for it because he got checked right for his shift, and they're like, well, you can't go anywhere for 24 hours because he's a boomer, so he wanted to get checked.
Mhm.
And he was fine. He didn't have the kung flu.
Mhm.
But we haven't had a lot of cases down here. Like I live in a rural part of the southeast of the province, and we've had like no cases in my community. So everything's super normal. I actually went to a store in town yesterday for the first time, and I seen like lines on the floor and people like you're walking down the aisle like a jackass. People are jumping out of your way because you're not wearing a face mask. This is my first exposure. I haven't been to a
Really?
store since like the beginning of March.
I mean, when we had no active cases in the province, I was walking around completely normal, doing my thing. I got tested because, like, I know there was a lot of flack coming from the southern part of the province about the people up north and stay up there. And a store in Fredericton closed because two assholes from up here went shopping, and oh my God, they closed the store and got the employees tested. And so it's like we're a bunch of lepers up here now, right?
Yes,
I
for
had
many
been going.
reasons.
I had been going to the RC track outside of Bathurst a couple of times, so I went and got tested so he would have peace of mind that I didn't drag the COVID to his place, and he went and got tested. And so, but yeah, man, was I ever happy when I was listening to the mayor's press conference last night or the night before when they said, no, we're good to go. We can start traveling again. Yeah, there are cases, but it's all accounted for. It's all under control. It is what it is. So now, unfortunately, the first death happened in New Brunswick this morning. And again,
Ooh, I didn't hear that.
yeah, and that man contracted the disease by Dr. Death. That's why I'm calling him Dr. Death now. So in my not so humble opinion, this prick is directly responsible for that man's death. He may not have known that he had the COVID, but he broke the quarantine rule. He knowingly crossed in and out of Quebec, that's crawling with COVID, and did not self-isolate when he came home, did not put himself in quarantine when he came home. I don't want to debate the reasons why he went to Quebec, whether he should or shouldn't have gone to Quebec. That's not at issue here. At issue is when he returned from Quebec, he didn't isolate. And as a result, he spread COVID throughout the community. 15 new cases and now a death. If he had quarantined when he got home, this man would be alive. And because he did not quarantine, he gave this man COVID, and now this man is dead. Please, explain to me how he is not responsible for that death. I'll wait. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I was talking to somebody about it down here, a local, and I said, like, Matt, like the province had no cases for almost a month, and then this guy, being a jackass, goes to Quebec, comes back. Oh, I'm a doctor. I don't need to isolate, and he goes and he spreads it around. Right? If my grandma got it or something, and I have family in Restigouche County, I'd be raging. Like I'd be crazy mad because literally, like, you gave it to this guy, he gave it to my grandma died, and now I'm pissed off, right? Thankfully my family's all fine that's in Restigouche County, and most importantly Trevor's fine. That's why I came on the show tonight, make sure he didn't have the Rona. But man, what a piece of work that guy is. Like, you guys should run him out of town for real.
Well, I mean, some of the things that are being said are downright horrible. I said he should be lynched before I knew he was a man of color. So I'll never, ever say that about him again. That was an unintentional faux pas on my part.
You never
Trevor.
put your foot in your mouth. You never do
Yeah,
that.
people are making it about race and the fact that he's an immigrant. I'm like, none of that has anything to do with anything. Oh, by the way, I was interviewed by the New York Times. New York Times was creeping me on Facebook and saw some comments that I made on the Campbellton Community Concerns page. I don't even know what comments or what post I saw, but after they read my post, they sent me a PM and said, hey, I saw your comments on the Campbellton Community Concerns page. Would you like to do an interview? So I did like a 30-minute interview with the New York Times.
You didn't mention that. You didn't think like that was interesting to mention? No.
I just
Earlier.
mentioned it.
Oh, by the way, I was quoted in the New York Times. But yeah, but back to this.
Back to this, yeah.
15 cases in sleepy New Brunswick.
Yeah. No, back to the sign off. So,
Yes.
and please be sure to join one of our national firearms associations, such as the CCFR. Be sure to support them in their legal court challenge. They need, I mean, we're taking on the government, and the government has unlimited financial resources because they're using our tax dollars to pay for this. So we need to redirect some of our money to the CCFR so we can sue the bastards. Be
Mhm.
sure to check us out on Gun Owners of Canada, the nicer, friendlier version of CGN. And like us on CGN, we're up to 2,667. That's pretty good.
On Facebook.
Pretty good. Yeah.
We're up to that.
Yeah, Facebook, Trevor, not CGN.
What did I say? Nobody likes us on CGN. Like us on Facebook. And also, you might want to consider speaking to your MP, your MLA, and your city councilor if your town is talking about some kind of crazy firearms ban, so they can get some attention as well.
Even
So
if they're not talking about it, because you might think it's all fine, and then this thing gets rolled out in your sleepy little municipality, enacts it.
yep.
It's possible. And I
it
mean,
is very
we know it's in the plans. It's in the plans right now for Trudeau to roll this out. Blair was also talking about potentially like some additional storage laws. They didn't sound like there's central storage, but they sounded like additional rules around how the restricted handguns are stored.
Oh yeah, like
Coming.
and they'd like to go the whole Australia route, you know, where the gun and the ammo can't be anywhere near each other. The ammo has to be locked up. They find a loose round, you can be charged, etc., and so on. So yeah, they're going for it, man. The sky is actually falling. So
You know, one person. I'm sorry, I keep interrupting the sign off here, but
to talk
one person that I was talking to was saying, like, you know what? I don't think they'll ever ban everything, because this is their one like key platform piece that they always talk about, gun control. And if they just banned them all, what's next? What else do they got to talk about? It's always that like, and if you look at the half steps they always take, it's always been like that. It's always been, we're going to ban some of the pistols, but not all the pistols. And we're going to ban some of the rifles, but not all the rifles. And even with this latest one, this is like as close to random, only the politically powerful firearms that they're banning. They're banning the black scary ones. It's like nothing to do with banning all guns. It has everything to do with what can we do to get votes this time around by running on some sort of gun ban. And AR-15s are scary in the States. Let's ban those. Doesn't have anything to do with like
nothing.
Yeah.
Not a thing. No,
Yeah.
not a thing. Yeah, I also, before we go, want to let the listeners know we have a microcast coming up on Saturday morning this time. Jordan from the Nighttime podcast has been following the Nova Scotia shooting case very closely. He's put out 3 episodes on the story so far. Adriel's got a lot of interest in this case as well, and so I thought we need to get these two guys together to discuss it, and I thought maybe the listeners would also enjoy hearing about it. So we're going to do a microcast Saturday morning, 11 p.m. or 11 a.m. Atlantic time. Jordan from the Nighttime podcast will be on, and Adriel will be on. I might even show up. And,
wait, 11 a.m. your time.
It's like 2 p.m. your time.
Is that the way it goes? I think it goes the other way. You guys are later than me. We need to do this at like 1 your time, 11 my time, or like 2 your time.
What time is it there right now?
I went
It's
backwards.
6:42.
You want to do it 2 p.m. your time?
No, like 11,
What?
1, noon, somewhere around there.
Diddly. Well, okay, we'll work this out off the air.
Yeah.
All right. See you next week, everybody.